everyone. Welcome again to the next edition of Consult 101. Are you fascinated by the world of consulting but tired of hearing about the same old giants, that is, the big three, McKinsey, Bain, and BCG? Then this video is for you. Today, we will take you on a quest to discovering the consulting firms that are making a significant impact in the industry, shattering boundaries, and bringing fresh perspectives.
Here we have with us one such person who chose this unconventional path to success. Iniyan Ramasamy, who graduated in 2021 from the Department of Engineering Design, a resident of Jamuna, a regular customer of Zaitun, who led the non-core placements for the campus in his pre-final year, a deep tech intern at Siemens with a couple of patents, work on public policy at Niti Aayog, and crude oil F&O trading at Futures First. He had built a very diverse profile. Eventually, he was placed in Dalberg, got promoted to associate, and then joined the Gill Capital Group. It is a rotational role and currently in the leadership of Additive LLC, which offers data-backed services to accelerate startup growth. Welcome, Iniyan.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
I hope you have had a great journey in Dalberg.
Yeah, it's 16 months. It was even full. I have some insights to share. But yeah, why don't we just go through the question one by one?
Yeah. We'll get started with the session. And before that, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to get the notifications as any video get posted. All right. So what are the things that comes to your mind in terms of the similarities between big three and all other consulting firms out there, like ADL, Dalberg, everything?
Yeah, I think there are multiple types of consulting firms. Like there are some in development space like Dalberg FSC. There's some in the IT space. There's some in the supply chain space like GEP and Maybach and all of that. But one thing, the major similarity between all of them is all of them solving problem for one of their clients. The area in which they're solving might be different, but all of them eventually are putting together a team that can solve a problem for their client. Right? So I think that's one similarity. But then we want to go more deeper into it. We should maybe pick like one or two sectors and then dive deep, like because the similarities will vary depending on the sector.
Right. So connecting the dots. So can you just categorize these non-MBB firms to a niche industry that they work in, like Dalberg in one particular industry? So can you just tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. I'll like there are again like so many buckets that you can put them under, but I'll give you some popular buckets. Right? Like at least with respect to insti, I think development consulting is a bucket where you'll have like some firms that hire. For example, Dalberg will hire, FSG is hiring on, I'm not sure if it's hiring on campus, and then you'll have Blitzspan and other consulting firms. So that's like one bucket. The other bucket is like the big four, the KPMG, Deloitte, PwCs, and stuff. So they do a lot of like predominantly financial accounting consulting related to it, but I've also heard of them doing like operational consulting and stuff like that. And then you will have like the IT consulting folks, like the Infosys, Wipros, Accentures, and stuff like that. Accenture has like a management consulting thing too, but predominantly most of the revenue comes from IT consulting. And then like another bucket can be supply chain consulting. I think some of them sit in institute. There's GP Worldwide, there's Maybach, there are a couple of other consulting firms in this way. But yeah, I think apart from management consulting, these are major buckets. For instance, folks, opportunities exist in development consulting and supply chain consulting, and also like big four.
Right. So talking about these big four and other consulting firms, what do you think are the key differences between each of them and between MBB? Like, why do you think there is that hype like MBB is there?
I think, to be honest, what differentiates MBB from non-MBB folks is just the diversity. At least in my opinion, is the diversity of the projects that they get to work on. Right? For example, if you go to any of these firms, like any of these firms that I just categorized in buckets, you will be solving problems in just one specific area. You go to Dalberg, you'll have a development problem that you're solving. You go to a big four, they'll have a niche, or they'll put you in an industry where you'll be solving problems. If you go to like the Maybach, you'll be solving supply chain problems, but just the breadth of the problems you'll be solving. In MBB, there will be one project where you'll be working with a startup, trying to like launch a new product in a market category, and the next day you can literally be doing something very similar for an airline, trying to like grow their top line, bottom line, and stuff like that. So just the variety of the problems you'll get to solve and learn at an initial part of your career is like so much valuable, right? Because like you'll realize as you grow into your career, you'll need to choose and field in which you'll need to be like really good at, and just the opportunity to explore multiple domains at the start of your career in MBB makes them so much valuable. Does that answer your question, or you did ask for like what differentiates MBB from MBB?
Yeah, I mean that answers my question. Like the diversity that MBB offers is one of the key reasons why it has that stand, right?
That's it.
Yeah, that answers my question. Okay, all right. Moving on. So, how did you develop your interest towards Dalberg? So, as you say, like there is a big variety available there, but why Dalberg?
Yeah, I think for me, I had some interest in Derek. Like I did an intern. This was in field I was interested in just because of the like change that you can create, like visible change that you can create. Yeah, I had a profile for Dalberg. I had an interest in the work that they did, and yeah, I eventually interviewed with them and ended up there.
Okay. So that's more generic about MBB and Dalberg. So let's move into the firm, like about Dalberg. So what would you say is that one advantage or good thing, or one very unique thing about Dalberg that differentiates it from every other consulting firm out there, apart from the sector that it works on?
Yeah, I think like a couple of things that differentiate Dalberg, but one very key thing I can see is like the exposure you get to international projects. Right? Most of Dalberg's projects are not Indian clients. So and the teams too. Like a lot of the teams are cross staff. Like for example, my first project I was working across time. My client was from the US. My project manager was from Hong Kong. Some part of the team was from Cape Town. I was in Chennai. So I joined during pandemic, so I was working out of so yeah, I think this was the theme of my first project. Then like in all of my projects, to be honest, like there is at least 50% of the team members from somewhere in the globe, and your clients are also sitting somewhere. You're solving a problem for a different geography, maybe. So this just helps get like a bit of exposure into solving different kind of problems. Plus, also getting to know how your peers are thinking, right? Especially if they're not from India. There's a way in which we're tuned to thinking. Just the diversity of thought you get when you problem solve them is amazing, and I think that's one thing that differentiates Dalberg from most of the consulting.
That's very interesting to know, by the way. Like the international exposure that you get through Dalberg, I think it's very diverse, right? But like the first project that you get into itself has a lot of members from outside India, and you get to work with them. That's really nice to know.
Because, yeah, it's crazy.
Like,
to be honest, like when I first had my call with my manager, like his accent was so strong, I couldn't understand like the first 5 minutes of the call. But yeah, you get used to all of this right out of college. You're very young and you're very motivated. And over time, I think over the year and there's good
learning. Right. That's very great to know. By the way, like whoever is going to join Dalberg, I think they'll be enjoying this point about Dalberg, that they'll get to work on a lot of projects outside India, right, with a lot of people from other cultures. Yeah. All right. So, what are the core values and principles that Dalberg prioritizes, and how do you think that shapes your working culture in the firm?
Yeah, I think this was my second point of what differentiates Dalberg. But I think the focus on learning is insanely high. I'm not sure about other consulting firms because honestly, I don't have personal experience in them. But at least at Dalberg, right, like there's so much focus on your learning that it just shapes your perspective towards a career in that place. Like to give you an example, right? Like there is trainings across multiple levels. Like there is an advisor call that you'll be assigned an advisor. Every consulting firm does, but just the regularity of the calls. Every month you have a check-in, and every month you have a check-in with your manager where they're helping you learn, giving you feedback on what you're doing great, where you need to do and stuff like that. This is just like one-on-one mentorship and learning. But apart from that, there's office level events. Every month again, they're like office, like one of the partners come in, take a topic, and we discuss, learn what sectors, how we solve problems and stuff like that. And then like there are office level learnings and problem solving sessions which happen once in a quarter. And then like yearly ones we have like this one day of like entire problem solving. Everyone in the office, across offices, to be honest, just like takes a break from their project. We bring in like NGOs from the industry. we ask them for a problem statement in the morning. Through the day, we break down into teams. We try to take one problem, break it down, and come up with like an solution that day. So like just to give you a glimpse, like to be honest, in my I would have spent like at least a good 10 to 15% of my time just on these training initiatives, right? Which is quite high, to be honest. I realized that once I moved over to Dalberg. So I think that's like very good part of their culture. And another thing is Dalberg being in the development space naturally like really prioritizes your well-being in the sense that like even though I get the perks of like learning in on the job, there's never a day where I would not see a day. There's never a week where I continuously work for more than 10 hours every day. So there used to be peaks, and it also depends on the project, to be honest, in the stage of the project. But at the end of the day, you will never feel like, okay, I'm like really burnt. I think they really try to make sure that your average working day is between 40. Average working week is between 40 to 55 hours. Is good.
I think that is again a great point, because what I've seen is like consultants generally don't have time for anything else. They just work, and average working hours per week just goes up to 70 or 60 sometimes, right? On an average, it's not like peak hours or as such, right? I think that's again a very good thing about Dalberg, I would say. And yeah, this problem solving that you're talking about, like everyone taking a break from their project and teaming up, it's like having a mini case competition within the company, right?
That's it. That's how it feels.
Yeah, that's again great, because once you graduate from college, you just miss these competitions, getting to team up with people and having that fire within you and all. Right.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, great. Now I'm considering Dalberg as my option.
Yeah, it should.
Nice. Okay, so coming to the client bases and the sectors that you work in, you mentioned that Dalberg focus on development consulting, right? So can you just give us examples of the types of cases that you work in this sector, or the type of clients that you have worked with, or in general as such?
Yeah, just giving you a broad flavor. I think the kind of clients we work with are mostly like foundations. Then we have corporate clients who have like their development programs running, and then we do some part of our work with NGOs too, and a very small part of governments. And coming to the projects I got to work on, they're very diverse. Like even in the development sector, there's so much diversity in terms of just the area you'd want to go into. Like for example, there's education, there's sanitation, there's water, then there is healthcare and stuff like that. And in each of them, there's again like strategy projects, and then there is like building out and plan for implementation, then evaluation and stuff like that. So like quite some like buckets inside each of these sectors too. Coming to my projects, I think during the time I worked on 4 projects. One was a long-term project, another way like 2 to 3 months in time. The first one was the first one was trying to scale entrepreneurship in India and Kenya through franchising as a model. So franchising was not in the problem statement. So essentially, what we need to do is there is this set of youth who were coming up, right? Like both these countries, like these were like prototype countries, but the focus was on all developing countries. All developing countries have predominant of their population as youth and before 30s. So if there's no enough opportunity to reach them to build and grow themselves, you will have a lot of social problems that will come out of this. So how do we solve this? How do we create opportunities? Not just opportunities, but like the double click of, or the like differential of opportunities, right? How do you create opportunities and create opportunities? So that was a problem statement, 2-3 months project within UN incubated foundation. That was my first project. Second project was with the policy think tank of India. Worked on evaluating how different states in India are performing with respect to water management, like coming up with a set of metrics, evaluating each state against them, and then ranking them on who's doing well, what they need to do better, what they need to, where they are already doing good and stuff like that. The third project was I would say the most interesting one. So it was the client was in like in big wildlife fund in the world, and the problem statement was, what kind of oil should India grow to have minimal impact on the environment? So like what is the impact of oil on the environment, and how it should shape the policy of India going forward, right? And like an obvious answer everyone will come and say is, no palm oil is bad and stuff like that, though no one documented its impact on the environment. One of
Hmm.
the key observations or outcomes that we came out of from that study was that palm oil is even though it's an evil, it's an essential evil. Like if you try to replace palm oil with actually like another type of oil, let's say groundnut oil, coconut oil,
Hmm.
any other edible oil, right? You'll just end up having so much deforestation in the country that it will create like a lot more harm than good. And it is also like very hard to
Hmm.
manage the consumption of a country like India, where there are like 1.4 billion people without like oil, like palm oil. If you would double click on it, you'll understand why. But I think this was outcome which is very interesting. They went in with an hypothesis, came out in the exact opposite direction. So that was interesting. And the fourth was trying to put together a leadership program for what they call modern anti-slavery in
Okay.
in multiple parts of the world. It piloted in Tamil Nadu, but now I
Okay.
think the program is happening in Brazil, Nepal, Thailand, and I think they've started putting this together in some part of Africa. But yeah, I think this is more like an implementation study. But yeah,
Hmm.
these are the projects that I got to work on during my time.
Interesting, interesting. I think the last project is a very good example of how your intuition is always the right way to go about in cases, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Yeah. Nice, nice, nice. All right. I think that gives us a very good view about the clients and cases that Dalberg deals with. So moving on, let's talk about the work that you have in Dalberg, right? So how do you think Dalberg induces the teamwork and camaraderie among consultants? Like, do you have this
Yeah.
Bain has a party culture, a very party culture that every Friday they go on and have such meetings, and I don't think BCG and McKay has that kind of party culture, but yeah, even they have team outings and dinners every month or every week or such that. So how does Dalberg have that culture? Like, is there something unique about Dalberg in that sense?
Yeah, I think like I would say nothing out of ordinary from what the other consulting firms do.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, we have like yearly retreats, cohort retreats, and
Okay.
then like team wise, we also co-locate. For example, like most of our clients are outside India, and projects start
Right.
like 2-3 months. It doesn't make sense to like sit out of London. And also in development consulting, the honest take is that every penny you put into a problem, they try to optimize for impact, and just staying like if it is a short 2-3 month project in India makes sense. So they'll just co-locate you. Like, for example, if my manager is out of Bombay, I'm sitting out of the Dalberg's Goa office, or the Dalberg has a Goa office. So if I'm sitting out of the Goa office, I'll just work with my team. I'll be put in Mumbai. I'll be
Mm-hmm.
given all support, and they try to put teams in the same room as much as possible. And also, yeah, like the typical like lunches, cohort outings, and team outings and stuff like that. There's always budget for all of these. No,
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anything like really specific to that. I think all of these consulting firms work.
Right, right, right. So do you have these case team meetings every week or as such? How frequent do they happen with your manager or team leader or as such?
I mean, you work with them daily, right? It's
Yeah,
like with your manager, yeah. Like you get on multiple calls in a day.
right.
That's all is there. Like in a non-work context, it is, to be honest, dependent on the manager. For example, my first
Okay.
project, we take like an hour out of out of the out of work, and we do some fun stuff. And like
Okay.
we all come up with a bunch of questions because to get to
Oh,
know each other in consulting, even if you're within India, it's hard to
hmm,
work with all of them in short amount of time and like build that relationship. And although you
right.
work across the globe, right? There's no chance you're going to work with someone you worked already again in a
Hmm,
project unless they are like a partner or someone. So we come together, we pull in a set of questions from all of them, and then we just randomly pick questions and answer them. It was fun, and then we play games and stuff like that. So this is one um, project where this helped build like a relationship with me. But yeah, otherwise.
got it, got it, got it. So what is the organizational structure in Dalberg? Like how are the positions varying and how does it influence the projects and how does the career, progress?
Yeah, like pretty standard, but there is some change compared to the other consulting firms. So we start in Dalberg, we start as an analyst, then you go to
Okay.
an associate consultant, and then an senior consultant, and then an project manager. This
Okay.
is like the nomenclature of it. But what's
Hmm,
different in Dalberg is that each of these roles,
hmm,
like 80% of the time, you spend only 1 year in each of the roles. So you get promoted every year. Uh, and in 4 years you can become a manager of like 5 to 6 years when you compare it to the other firms. So if you perform decently well, you can start managing projects much younger than when you would be given the responsibility. So I think that's a little different, but with respect to like the hierarchies of the team, this is the same. 2 analyzing layers, 2 problem solving layers, 1 managerial layer, and then relationships and sales. This is how it goes.
Okay. So what comes beyond manager? Like once you have become a manager, what comes next?
There's associate partners and partners. So essentially, associate partners and partners are responsible for maintaining relationships with clients, giving strategic inputs to projects because they have quite a lot of experience, and also to sell work. So yeah, existing clients ensure that they get their problem solved in the best way possible, and also ensure that we bring new revenue to the company. So these are largely their responsibilities. They're not like an integral problem solving part of any case group, but they do give their inputs. They spend 10% of the time in the process.
Right. So do you have frequent interactions with these associate partners and partners as well?
It depends on how the project is also scoped, right? Like for example, in my first project, it was a team of 6 people. So you like really like I had very minimal interaction with the partners. Like of course, when there's problem solving sessions, they join in, we break down the problem. But apart from that, I didn't have much interaction. But when it came to the second project, right, when we were working with the government of India, I told you like the team was literally me and the partner. I think this doesn't happen in the other consulting firms, where it happens depending on the budget in Dalberg. There I got a lot of opportunities to work with the partner in the project. There was Neeraj Bhatnagar, partner at Dalberg. Quite a cool guy and really a thought leader in the development space. Like really enjoyed working with him directly. And yeah, those opportunities do show up. It's depending. It's dependent on the case and how the staffing is for the case.
Right. Yeah, it really does depend on the staffing, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So how does the starting salary for entry-level consultants, like as an analyst in the firm, compared to the starting salary at MBB? Because right now, I think the starting salary for someone who gets placed as an associate in MBB ranges from 18 to 24. Right. So how is that in Dalberg?
Yeah, I can give you an answer for that. So in Dalberg pretty much pays you 70% of what MBB will pay, 60 to 70%. I don't know. And I was joining to 75, but I think now it's gone down to 70%. So I would assume, unless they have raised it, I would assume it to be somewhere between 13.5 to 15. And that's because of just the space Dalberg is in, right? Like a lot of the people that they work with, like be it the foundations and the corporates do have cash to pay, but we also work with quite a bit of NGOs and governments, wherein we will need to optimize for impact than the pricing of the project. So in those cases, you will need to take a hit on your revenues, and when naturally your revenues take a hit, your costs also need to adjust according to the foreign business to be sustainable. So that's one of the reasons why you will be paid 70% of what MBB gets paid. But yeah, that's the thing with development space. Anyway, you go into development space, you're not going to get like for-profit salaries.
Right.
But yeah. But this said, Dalberg is a for-profit firm. It has a unique way in which it operates. There's a fund sitting out of Kenya where the net profit from the fund goes. It owns IPs and stuff like that. It's a unique model for profit. Just wanted to give you a heads up and say
Right. All right. So coming to the projects that you work on again, as you told, development consulting, and then the types of clients like foundations, as well as corporate clients. So do you have a say in the type of projects that you get allotted to?
Yeah, in the early days, I would say, like in the sense, you do have some control, but it's not like very that's not the first optimization part, to be honest. Like, for example, even before I started my first project, go around and call the staffer, and staffer explore my interest. They make a note. You can always call your staffer anytime and talk to them about what you want for your next project. But typically, at an analyst or an associate consultant level, right, you've still not explored the breadth that the field has to offer. So often, in case where I was honestly interested in education, but never ended up doing project in education. Because like the first project that came in was again interesting, but not in development. And once I finished it, there was another project in the pipeline. But like in the sense, I could just keep waiting for an education project or given a chance to explore the new field, and I chose that. But again, like if there's something that's pertaining to education, I always got a call from the staffer saying, "Hey, this is coming up. Would you be available?" Most often than not, I was not available because I was always stuck during my time in that. But yeah, I think they take that into account. They want to optimize for you. But again, like my first optimization metric was not to be unstuffed and do BD. So I never ended up waiting for a project. Always went to the one that's going to start earlier because yeah, like you're in project, the learning different from when you're in BD.
Right, right. Got it. All right. So, are there opportunities to get, specialized in one particular field in consulting, or are there specialized teams available in Dalberg as such? Like there is BCG X as the digital part of BCG, right? So, is there something like that similar in Dalberg?
Yeah, I think there is opportunities to answer your first question. There is opportunities to like really create a niche. Once you finish your 1.5 2 years of exploration, you will start to be like they expect you to figure out a field in which you want to work, and then you would be you would start getting stuff on a theme, be it healthcare, education, and stuff like that. So that's very much possible, and the firm also would encourage that. And on your second question, is there like specific teams inside Dalberg that has expertise in sector or something? The answer is yes, in two folds. One is there are Dalberg as in there are multiple Dalberg firms. Also. Like the one we're talking about is actually Dalberg Advisors, the strategy consulting part. There's also Dalberg Implement, I think Dalberg Media, and then Dalberg like two other entities. So they have very specific focus. Dalberg Design and stuff like that. They do very cool work. So each of them focus on a specific like type of problem. Like for example, Dalberg Design focuses very much on like human design-based problem solving. Dalberg Media is a consulting firm for development world where they like managing PR and stuff like that. So that's there. The within Dalberg Advisors itself, like in each of these practice areas, there are practice thought leaders, and there's also specific hiring for some of these areas. For example, even at the junior level, that you would not see in other firms. So, like at an associate level, you will have someone who's done a PhD in let's say a PhD in education in underdeveloped countries, holding an associate position. They'll be staffed across projects for like a limited period of time. They'll come in on your problem solving for a week or two, help you like critically look at the problem with their help, and then they'll be moved to the problem. So they're like there's a plethora of such roles inside the firm too. But at least for insti folks when we're starting out general, I think there's this common line that I talk about, and it's to CA consultants. That hierarchy holds for us.
Right. All right. So, what are the opportunities for lateral movement within the firm? Like, can you shift to the offices global on a global level as well? Is that possible?
So, on an India level, it's possible. On a global level, it is possible if the movement is because of your family. So, Dalberg, like being very employee friendly. Like, if let's say you're moving to the UK because you're shifting for your family, you have your partner there or stuff like that. No questions asked, you'll be given like you'll be transferred between offices. But if like that's not the case, like suddenly I want to work, like you can of course work on projects from the London office. Like I said, like most of my projects don't necessarily sit out of India. But if I want to shift to that office, there are some chances based on the requirements in the office. For example, if the office is hiring an associate there and I'm already an associate in India, I can interview for the role. The interview will not be like the same interview; it'll just be one round of the partner. If they like you, they'll offer you, and you can move to the London office, subject to visas and stuff like that. So it's possible, but not like, it's not something that's like that's not common if you see in Dalberg, except for family reasons. Because a lot of people move for family reasons, but I've not seen at least movements between offices outside India. But I've been told, you need to play one round of interview.
Okay. So you're saying basically that the probability is of them shifting to globally itself is a bit less, but whoever is shifting, it's mostly because of their family situations as such in those cases, which is very convenient.
Yeah, that's right. Like all the shifts that I've seen, I think 10-15% of the employees during my time, it should be 10%. Shifted offices, but all of them were for family reasons. None of them said, just got bored of India, want to work out of US. That was
right. Right. Got it. All right. So, what do you think are the benefits that you as an employee in Dalberg receive compared to those in MBB firms? Apart from the opportunities that you get to work with or the people that you work with and all, what are the other benefits or perks you would say?
I would say one thing that stands out for Dalberg is the opportunities you would get to study again in your career. Right? Like a lot of people from Dalberg end up making it to like top-notch schools to do masters and whatever.
Okay.
Like for example, one person from my cohort, as in who joined with a good friend, she's going to Columbia to do
Okay.
her international finance masters. And like most of the people who move out of Dalberg to do any masters, they get offers just because the space they're working in and the brand that Dalberg has in the market.
Right.
They have really good opportunities. They all of them like at the bare minimum go to an Ivy. Quite a few of them made it to Harvard and stuff like that. So just like the exit opportunities, when it comes to exit opportunities, like you get like a good hand. Of course, it's like in the sense when it comes to like investment roles, it's to be very frank, it's not as good as MBBs. You will not be approached by PEs, you will not be approached by like all of the VCs. That's a disadvantage. But if you're doing an MBA, if you're doing a master's in international finance, in development, MBB and stuff like that, you have very good shot at all.
Good to know that. So connecting the dots, like we have a couple of questions in that exit opportunities as well. So I'll just cover that here since we have already talked about MBA opportunities.
Yeah.
So does Dalberg offer any scholarship for the people who move out for MBA from Dalberg, or is there a contract kind of thing that after completing MBA they can come here and work with us as well? So how does that work?
Yeah, there's sponsorship for your MBA, there's sponsorship for your masters. Of course, it's subject to you coming back. Like they're not going to pay back. They pay your MBA if you're not going to join back. You'll need to join back, work for a duration of 1-2 years.
Okay.
I think that's one. But yeah, like they're always happy to. The development world itself is not really big, right? It's a small net group.
Right.
So even if they don't sponsor your MBA, you end up going and you end up realizing that was the place I want to go back to. They're more than happy to have you back. And in cases, they also give you promotion. The master's is relevant to development.
Right. So I think it's similar to how other MBB firms also work, right? Yeah.
That's right.
Right. So is it possible to switch to an MBB after working in Dalberg or to any other consulting firm? Are there any obstacles in that path?
No, there's no obstacles, to be honest. Like you can always interview with an MBA, and most often than not you'll go through. And at the like the first 2 years of your career, these these moments are possible, but not like a lot of people end up going for it. But I think later part in your year 3, 4, 5, there's a lot of movement. Right? Like even for MBB, Dalberg was in good ground to hire talent. Like for example, during the pandemic, like I think 20-30% of the managers from Dalberg ended up moving to the MBB firm. So yeah, like in the sense, there's always cross movement, and there are people from there coming here, people from here going there. That's always possible.
So coming to this career transition from consulting, so what are the other sectors that people go for work from consulting in Dalberg?
Yeah, I think again, like multiple areas, but predominant ones, at least I've seen in recent times, are one investing. They go to like either like VCs without focus on development, or there's also quite some movement to like VCs like Omnivore and stuff like that, which have focus on development. Both of the opportunities are open, and then you can move to other consulting firms too. In case you don't want to specialize in development after spending 3 years, you feel I want to still be broad, solve a lot of business problems. You can end up in these. And then you can also like there's quite a bit of people moving to startups, like early stage startups, leading like a portion of the team, and stuff like that. So these are possible. Yeah, I think VC startups, other consulting firms, and also like quite a few of them move to foundations in which they previously, for example, you work with okay, I can't name them. You work with any foundation if their roles they're like the firms are more than happy to take you as a permanent part of the team.
Right. So how easy will be the transition from development consulting to any other type of consulting from Dalberg to any other outside? Do you think that will be easy to cope up with, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say there are some parts that remain the same from your work in Dalberg, and some parts that are different. For example, just the core skill set of problem solving, breaking down a problem, identifying where to target, prioritizing your hypothesis and stuff like that, they all remain same. Whether you work in Dalberg, you work in all of this remains the same. There are some additional skill sets that you gain during your time in business consulting, like non-development consulting, like modeling, like modeling future revenue and stuff like that. Like just that expertise with Excel, you can learn it. It's not like in big deal, but I've often not seen that in like those kind of projects don't end up in consulting. So your first project when you're modeling like outcomes for a client in MBB can be a bit of challenge compared to like an existing MBB consulting. So there's some areas, but I think a lot of them can be overcome, and that's why you see a lot of cross movement. Either like even from in Dalberg, like you would miss some nuance with respect to development. Someone who's inside the world will have a lot more sector idea, and but doesn't mean you can't make the movement. You will end up learning that in 3-4 months.
Fair. That's, I mean, yeah, that's there because the core of consulting is just problem solving, and it is not going to change.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So as you said, right. Yeah. So as you suggested previously that your average working hours remain 40 hours per week, right? So I think there will not be any problem with work-life balance as such in Dalberg.
No, it's not 40. It's not 40. It's 45 to 55. In consulting, you will get 40 hours. It's between 9 to 11 hours on average.
Right. So how do you balance your work life and personal life? How do you spend your weekends, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think to be honest, I am a bad example for that because like all the 4 projects, like except the last one, which is a longer term project, the first 3 were like intense. So I ended up spending more towards the later end of the spectrum, spending 11 hours each day. And just because you're thinking so hard for most of the 11 hours, right, given the pace at which things move, you're always on your toes. It exhausts you, to be honest, at the end of the day. So I didn't have like a lot of time to do rest of the stuff during the week. But of course, all your weekends are free, and like they're always protected in most of the consulting firms. So yeah, my weekends just used to be like catching up with friends, and I just explore places. I just go out, catch up, unwind and stuff like that. So yeah, pretty standard stuff. Nothing very unique. I don't like really have like in specific hobby. I just keep shifting between temporary hobbies that I have. So I just explore.
Okay. So will you say that you're satisfied with the work-life balance that you have?
At Dalberg, like for 50% of the time I was, and another 50% of the time I was pushed, to be honest. But that's how it is. I knew when I signed up for the projects that they are short term.
Right.
They are going to be staffed. I still took in deal because in these projects, the concentration of learning rate is high. So like I knew when I was signing up, it's not like I didn't expect it. Came as a surprise. I ended up putting my hand up. I knew that was how it was going to be, and I took it. So I'm not going to complain about it, but yeah, I was satisfied with most of, because just I had the option to do that. Right? I can have the option to choose essential project where I can work for 5 hours a week. I didn't do that, but yeah, answer is I'm satisfied.
Right. I think a lot of people have problems in that aspect. Like we don't know exactly what we're signing up for, and then we end up spending a lot of time. We feel pushed, and then we start thinking, why did we even take this, right? So I think you had a clear mindset about that.
Yeah, and consulting also, like it's not even specific to Dalberg. To be honest, even in the other MBB firms, you have certain sectors where you will know when you're signing up that you're going to die, but you still end up doing this for the run. So yeah, like even in consulting, like there are sectors where you can explore, where you will not have so much specific work and end up closing a laptop at 7 and stuff like
that. Right. All right. So I think we have covered a lot of questions about the work life that you have had in Dalberg. So let's go to this, how you were recruited. Like what was the recruitment process for you when you were getting placed in Dalberg? And do you think there are any differences that's being followed in MBB as such?
Yeah, there's a little bit of difference. The case interviews still remain the same, but difference with respect to what type of cases, number one, and second is the duration of the cases exist in Dalberg. So in Dalberg, you will have a mix of both management consulting cases and development cases. So you'll find like development cases as you will get shortlisted for Dalberg, there'll be some development consulting cases. You will find it in the case booklet that the placement team shares. But these kind of cases do come up in your case interviews. It's not completely that. For example, in the 4 rounds that I had, 2 rounds where 1 round was in I think market entry, the other round was a profitability case, and 2 other rounds where one was on education, the other was on youth development. So yeah, it's a mix and match of both. So you need to prep for development cases if you're interviewing for Dalberg. That's number one. Number two is the duration of the cases. Typically, you will see with respect to MBB, right? Like they'd want to give like on good years, they'd want to give 6 to 8 offers each, and they have a short list of 30 odd folks. So most of the rounds you'll see like hi, introduce, do a case. 20 minutes into the case, they are like 90% sure you are right or wrong fit, and in another 5 minutes, even though they say it lasts for an hour, I've seen during presentation last for 30 to 40 minutes, a typical case. But in Dalberg, it's a lot longer. Like each case will be close to 50 minutes to 1 hour. So you will need to keep up your energy through the case duration, and also it will have 4 rounds compared to like 2 to. If you do good in MBB, I've seen people afford 2 rounds. I've seen people do like 4 rounds. But for Dalberg, for sure, it's going to be like 4 rounds. If you do exceptionally well, you might have 3.
Okay. So like 4 rounds and 1 hour average for each round. So 4 hours of interview.
Yeah. 4 hours of interview on a day. But good thing about Dalberg is they're okay to spread it through the day. They're not going to be like, hey, you come during the 8 o'clock slot, I'll give you an offer.
Okay.
Those promises Dalberg doesn't make. So you come I've seen people coming at 2 o'clock and getting an offer. You can space your interviews. It's not necessary that all your 4 rounds need to be one after the other.
I think it's less pressurized that way. I think like people who sign up for this 8 a.m. are often like they have that mindset. Oh my God, it's 8 a.m. We are going to go interview first, and I don't know how many rounds it'll take. Blah blah blah. Right?
Yeah. All the free have. You can come to Dalberg at 11 o'clock and you can still get away with an offer. That's how it's different. Yeah, you'll need to do some case prep. And anyways, Dalberg shortlist are small. It's not like they're going to be 30, 40 people. They'll give the 10 to 15 people max shortlist. So it's just about prioritizing it.
So that's the difference in interview process, right? So apart from that, the shortlisting is same, like resume submission, and then shortlist happens, and then straight interview, right?
Let me think about it. I think like interviews are there. Resume shortlist is there. In between, Dalberg on and off has something. Like for example, in the year I did, they had like a small test. Then they did away with it. They introduced cover letters. Then I think they did away with that too. I'm not sure. But there might be one phase just to like in a sense help evaluating universities like this. Like I don't want to say there are like 550 people applying. Very hard to differentiate just based on the resume. They do narrow down to like a good 60 odd people, but from that 60 to that 13, there is an evaluation process.
Do you think there will be any difference in the off-campus procedure?
If at all there's any difference, I think it'll be more rounds because Dalberg loves to have you interviewed by so many people. So I'm sure if you're an intern, they'll put you to 4 rounds. So I think makes sense for Dalberg. Like on that day, the crowd within IT is also increased in terms of consulting companies. So no point 4 hours of students' time on slot one. All they have to say. So I like that strategy.
Interesting. All right. So how often does Dalberg hire, like for what all roles, at what frequency, and how many do they take?
So the analyst cohort, right, that's the role you get. It's like 15 people, right? And half of it are hired from Indian universities. So around 8 of them are from Indian universities. Mostly they're from like 4 or 5 of them are from ITs, 3 to 4 of them are from SRCC. And then the rest of them are from like universities abroad. Difference there, they come back to. But I think to answer your question, it's if you're from IT, you have 4 analyst spots open most of the year. Unless Dalberg grows exponentially in the future, I think it should be around 4 to 5 for posts from IT. And this is not from IIT Madras. And from IIT Madras, like they usually give you 1 to 2 offers. There are like some people from Kharagpur, some people from Bombay, and stuff.
Okay, so does hiring happen for the roles apart from analyst as well from campus?
You can move. You can move. If you're working in from campus, it doesn't happen. So from campus, it's just the answer. But if you're working elsewhere and you want to shift to Dalberg, they'll give you an like-to-like replacement. For example, if you spent like 1.5 years in another consulting firm and you've come in, I've seen cases like from another consulting firm that I have from insti only. 1.5 years down, that friend came to Dalberg and he was given like an equivalent role. You're not going to start as an analyst. So those movements are possible, but from campus, it's just the answer.
Right. So Dalberg doesn't hire from business schools, is it?
It does from ISB, but like a large part of it, like it's not like in big firm. 2-3 people come every day. most of them are just promoted internally from the 15 people I told you from the analyst cohort. Some of them move out, like me, some of them stay. And those folks take up positions, and some from lateral, like other strategy firms, and some from like non-consulting strategy roles. Like, for example, there's one person who was managing like strategy for, I think, Airbus or Boeing. So he wanted to move into the development space because of his reasons, and he got an equal role. So if you're technically working in a problem-solving space, you will, based on years of experience, you'll be getting into that.
Right. So they'll join Dalberg as a consultant, is it, or associate consultant?
Yeah, from the B schools, they join as consultant.
Okay.
From the undergrad schools, we join as analysts.
Analyst.
Yeah. And you put 2 years, you'll anyway become consultant. So as good as not doing MBA, just staying within that program.
Right. I think that's again similar in MBBs, right? Like once you join as associates through undergraduates, and from B schools, you will just become senior associate, right?
Very similar. Yeah.
Right. So do you think Dalberg values other qualities apart from analytical and problem-solving skills, particularly for hiring as such, from the resume they see or the test they conduct?
I think you're asking from a resume perspective, right? Like just looking at the resume.
The whole hiring process, even in the case interviews, apart from the problem-solving skills that the candidates show up, what do they see? Like communication is something that is very crucial for every other consulting firm out there. But do you think there are any unique things that Dalberg focuses on?
I would say, like in the sense, one thing that is good to have, but not a must-have, is interest in development. So if you have interest in development, a good amount of your conversations with the interviewer tend to be around that area, and that's good to have. Right? You're working and you have some insights already in an area that you want to work. So it's good to have, but it's not a must-have. For example, I know friends who have zero development background who made it to so yeah, that's good to have, but otherwise it's just the same structured thinking, logical problem solving. These are the
so
three
it's just like
a
plus point to have to create conversations with the interviewer as such, right?
Yeah, just a point.
Right. So do you think having semester exchange programs or a lot of international exposure for the candidate itself is another plus point in this matter?
I mean, I honestly don't think so. Yeah, SEMEX is good for getting international exposure and having some fun, but I honestly have been part of the placement team. SEMEX doesn't really help you with your career as such.
Makes sense. But yeah, a lot of people, they think that having SEMEX as a part of their
No, that doesn't help.
Right. Okay. So that your insti life has shaped you up such that you fit Dalberg very well.
Specifically, I don't think insti has really shaped, helped me perform better in interviews. But overall, yeah. Like if not for insti, if I was even in, let's say, an IIT or Guwahati, I would stand zero, like very less chance of making it to any of these MBB firms.
So what about consulting as such? Let's leave Dalberg. So do you think your insti life has shaped you up better for consulting?
For sure. Just with the amount of preparation, like in the sense, just introducing, like if you just look at the whole of the fund, like just introducing me to something like consulting. Like I had no clue what was consulting when I joined.
Right.
Until even third year, I didn't know what was consulting. Insti introduced me to consulting. Insti helped me prepare for consulting, and they also gave me an interview to attend, and then got like a job. Like everywhere there is some contribution from Insti. Can't deny that to be. Yeah.
So I think you were more interested towards deep tech and all that before consulting, right? So how did you shift to consulting from those?
To be honest, I didn't have a specific interest when I was in Insti till my second year. I was just like, well, I'll get a job that pays me well. That was my hunch. But then there were so many areas, right? Like you doing tech, you can explore tech. You like this. I was interested in finance and investing too. So like just I was like, cool, let's go explore all of it. So that's the reason you'll see like in diversity of interns in my resume. And yeah, so, like these interns are very useful. Just to understand tech is not for me, maybe finance is not for me, and stuff like that. So yeah.
So it was all about exploring and understanding what suits you best, right?
Yeah, totally. Like in the sense, there are two ways to look at an intern. You already know that this is the area that I want to be in. That will only come if you have the privilege to already know about the field without exploring. Like you come to know through your family, friends,
Right.
there is something like this exists. You might be a good fit for it, and you're also convinced you'll be a good fit for it. You align your internships to make sure that best suits you to make it to that job. Otherwise, you'll be like me, just start exploring everything and start rejecting or accepting some of them, and then eventually, like you will know which career option to focus on.
I think that's something very important for insti folks to know about, because from what I see, like right now, a lot of people just go with the hype, like whatever gives you a lot of money or whatever a lot of seniors take up, they just go behind that without actually exploring a lot of stuffs and understanding what suits you the best, right? I think this is something that everyone should be doing at this point. Like once you come to insti is full of opportunities, and it just offers you a lot of things to do, and it's up to you to take up those and explore, and then understand. Right.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I think hype for some, to reason it out, the hype is real, to be honest, in some of them. Like consulting does give you like a very strong way to start your career, especially if you want to start in like management and management related aspects. So if you don't have any clue what you want to do and you're sitting in the placements, consulting is a very good job. But like you said, internships can be used to actually evaluate by working. Internships again are not exactly a full-time role. But like a good yardstick to measure, like better than not having.
Right. It'll give you a glimpse of what is waiting in this field.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. I think we have come to the end of the session. That's all the questions that I have. I think we have covered it all.
Cool.
So if you have something to say to our audience.
I think, like one thing I've realized after coming out of insti is that your insti placement doesn't matter. So in that aspect, just give your best shot, but don't take the pressure of just finding the right path right out of college. You're going to work for like 30, 40 years. And there's so many options to switch. And it's not an race, it's more like an sustained marathon. So don't fuss about it. Don't over stress about it. Go with the flow. If you just like constantly show up, you'll make it good enough. So don't worry.
Right. That's a great advice, I would say. Because a lot of people take a lot of unnecessary pressure even during interns or placements, and they just keep worrying about it, not realizing that's a lot more time left.
I agree. I think that it just happens. Even I can say this, but when I was in placements also, I had this stress. Like just because I'm saying don't take stress, I'm not saying just go down to level 0, but I'm just giving you some assurity that like this is not going to shape your life completely. And from the perspective of someone who's just traveled through it, I can tell you that. So if it helps you remove it a tad, make your stress a tad lower, that's it.
Right. Thanks a lot, Iniyan.
Thanks so much for giving the space to share my thoughts. Hope it's useful to someone.
Yeah, sure. Thank you all.
Thank you.